Another Africa iShare podcast. It is very nice to be back. It has been a few weeks since we last posted a discussion, but we come back today, and I have a guest with me. He's Kobe Abiko. He will introduce himself a bit more. And tonight we'll be speaking about tech and Africa and innovations. Quite interesting topic for these times. But let me let Kobe introduce himself, then we'll get started.
Thank you so much, Christine, for the opportunity. My name, as you have heard Christine say, is Kobe Abiko. I'm the Chief Executive Officer of Glow Group, which is based in South Africa, Uganda, Kenya, and Namibia. We are a general trading company, and we have got subsidiaries, which one of them is, of course, telecommunication technology. So I'm glad to be here and being invited to come and share my knowledge in way of technology in Africa, which is today's topic, is a great honor for me. Yeah, that's much I can say about myself at this point.
Okay, thanks a lot, Kobe. And Kobe is our ongoing guest. It's always nice to have him. So I think we have four main points that I would like for us to discuss tonight. Beginning with how much tech innovations are coming up within Africa. And Kobe, you could start by speaking about from your area and the places that you've mentioned, different countries that you have been to or you work. You've seen like how much innovation and tech is in use in those countries. So you could share your insights and also, maybe compare like between Uganda and Kenya and South Africa in your experience about the tech innovations in those countries.
Well, to be honest, I have been in many parts of Africa, especially the southern and eastern part of Africa. Just last month, I was in Tanzania, and I was in the city of Dar es Salaam, and having come from South Africa, I of course, and being a tech savvy somebody, the first thing you have to look for is how perhaps you use your mobile phone in terms of SIM card, how you can be able to trade on money platforms or fintechs which are there available. If at all you can be able to transact, through the phone and being able to pay through mediums like mobile money and that sort of thing. At the same time, you are able also to look at, the transport sector. If the Uber, the Lyft, the what we call e-hailing transport system, which is tech-driven, how does it function in Tanzania as opposed to a place like South Africa? And other issues surrounding maybe money, because as you are in a foreign country, some of these things matter so much. Transportation, the payment systems, and how the banks go around, and of course in Africa, you're talking about also foreign currency and that sort of thing. Mm-hmm. So I came to realize that there is a huge difference between countries in Africa. And Christine, you can bear with me that few countries are very much far ahead of the others. For example, South Africa and Kenya are leading countries in terms of innovation and technology in the southern and eastern part of Africa, respectively. And one thing I realized with Tanzania just is how, the things like Uber, because I don't know if the cars are not so much available. Maybe it's a little bit higher notch of a class. Mm-hmm. But Uber, you can get Uber for a small bike, motorcycle. Mm-hmm. You can get an Uber of a tuk-tuk, which is they call it Bajaj. It's a three-wheeled vehicle. This is Uber. You can summon Uber of that motorbike. Bajaj, and even a car. While in a place like South Africa, in actual fact, you could the Uber you get, it should be a sedan. In other words, it cannot be hatchback. It must be a sedan. It must be a latest kind of a car, not more than 5 years old. So which must have a typical boot, the way a car, which is a saloon. And that selectiveness in terms of this in South Africa, Uber can only be a car, and that car must not be more than 5 years old. Cannot be, taken into Tanzania because most probably most cars are more than 5 years old. So if you introduce Uber with the mindset of South Africa in Tanzania, you may not be able to run that business as a going concern. And at the same time, if you look at a country like Kenya, you get that Uber can be a hatchback, can be a car. Christine maybe can fill me in there, but most of the Uber in Nairobi have taken just cars, but they don't say it's a sedan. It can be any kind of car, just good looking car and a fine car. They don't look at the age and so on. So obviously, those small differences in terms of how technology is used in specific to a particular location in Africa tells a lot in terms of, when you put out, a tech platform, how it must respond to the condition on the ground in that specific country in Africa. Now, if you look at the technology in countries like Rwanda, which has come up so tremendously in recent times, to challenge even, it's almost challenging maybe the levels of countries like Kenya, or which it will, if it continues on that path, is that in Rwanda, the penetration of internet and the usage of internet is more than that of Kenya, for example, in terms of the percentage. I think it's sitting in the region of about 40 to 45% internet penetration. Whereas in a country like Kenya, I would suggest that those people can sit down and use the internet. Out of the total population, it could be sitting about 28. So there is that difference in South Africa, because you was asked me to talk about the technology which is coming up, which was the point, the innovations coming up in a particular area. In a country like South Africa, which is quite forward in terms of technology. I wouldn't put it next to, I wouldn't say it's as much advanced like the United States of America, where I've been, and I know the technology which is taking place over there. But in South Africa, what has been happening is they have really taken in the technology which has been created in Silicon Valley in America. For example, in America, they have Amazon, which is these huge supermarkets selling everything, and it's there. You don't even need to go to the supermarket. You have got your mobile phone. Everybody, even if you're foreign, if you want to open a bank account, nobody restricts you to open a bank account. You just walk in a bank and say, "Well, this is my address. I'm staying there." You have any evidence, you can get a bank account, and from that position, then you can be able to transact in terms of using technology because you have a bank account, which means then you are able, if you want to do business, or you can put some money in there, transfer money here and there, or pay in the local store, then that's fine. South Africa has brought the replica of Amazon. We call it Take a Lot. Take a Lot. It's a supermarket. I've been using it, but to purchase things now and again. However, it is not as streamlined as you'd say Amazon, because I've also used Amazon. You really have to, if you want to buy something and you don't have a credit card, because most people don't have credit card in South Africa. They do have, but majority don't have the debit card, the credit card. They give you an option of, giving you a bank account, which then you have to work with the bank and deposit money physically if you don't have a bank. and that in itself is slowing down the technology. However, that has not stopped South Africa from continuing to innovate. In a recently concluded 3 day South Africa Innovation Summit, which actually began in Cape Town just recently, last week, there was a company which has got a very interesting, you know, perspective in terms of how it goes about in bringing all these technologies to bear. The company is known as Convergency, and the founder, the CEO, Mr. Stefan, has continuously created digital business startups, and out a dozen of them every year, and then maybe 10 or so find themselves into the market either by partnering up with a bank or another major financial institution or any other institution for that matter. It does not have to, it can be a telco, it could be any other partner who brings in some money so that the startup can nurture, so they came up with a concept where they looked at it and said, you know what, there is a lot of different industries, which are converging at the moment, and because no one is going to reinvent the wheel, there's nothing which is within the human domain which has not already been, discovered. All we have to do is monetize it or commercialize it, for that matter. And they found out that very soon they'll be looking at the situation where banks are involved in e-commerce. You get, if you want to buy insurance, just maybe short-term travel insurance, or some service insurance, or maybe a funeral plan, or maybe a study plan for your kid or something like that. You find that you can buy it in a retailer somewhere just around the corner, like the way you buy a SIM card and that sort of thing. So they are building platforms which will help everybody who wants to be a bit of everything. The bank wants to be into e-commerce, or e-commerce wants to be fintech. Everybody's coming up with the knowledge of how they want to commercialize their idea. So they are building platforms like those ones, and this is very exciting because this is what they call future technology. And they are employing just industrial engineers, software engineers, those who, it's a Silicon Valley of its sort, but it's a company by itself, which, imagine building maybe a couple of dozens of digital platforms in a year, maybe let's say 36, which is 3 dozens, and 10 of them find themselves in the market. That's a huge amount of success. So yeah, so these incubator programs which they have at Convergency, and trying to partner up with businesses, is what you'll say are the new technologies which are coming after COVID. Because yes, COVID has taught people, everybody has learned a lesson who really listened to the moment when there was all this lockdown happening. Everybody has learned a little lesson. And if anybody has a mind to be an entrepreneur, we are all entrepreneurs anyway, unless we doubt that spirit in ourselves. So there is a lot of exciting prospects in terms of innovation and technology which are coming up. And South Africa is leading the way. There are big companies, huge multinationals. You as well know that the South Africa, the way business is run is in such a way that it is like the pharmacy. We have Discam, which has got more than 500 or 600 branches all over the country. That's just the outlet for pharmacy, which you cannot really find in other countries in Africa, where you have just this huge, you understand, multifaceted company, which is being, if you have something to sell in terms of pharmaceuticals, then you go to them, you sign up with them, and then you are able to sell. Discam, Clicks, these are huge companies in the model of pure capitalism with America anyway. So these companies, they have so much money that they can be able to fund incubator innovation programs. Either they can incubate them within their own domain under them, or they can partner up and be able to work in relationship with the people who are, doing the innovations with apps and that sort of thing. So obviously there is so many futuristic things which are being done, and especially you know very well about the metaverse which has been introduced, like the virtual reality which Facebook is funding and put a lot of money into it. It says it's the next big thing in tech. So there is all those kind of future technology which are going to change our world. So many things are coming up, and even the cell phone is going to be it's going to be redundant. We will not need to carry the gadget, the piece itself. We may need just to have maybe wear glasses or have a chip in ourselves. This is coming, but that's futuristic. But at the moment, in South Africa, I would say there's been a lot of innovation in healthcare and anything which is targeting fintech, financial technology, is been advancing very well. We're looking at agriculture as well, where in the agriculture there's an app which came up that you can buy a cow. You invest in buying a cow. It is it's very successful, tech in South Africa, because cattle is a way of holding wealth within the communities, the Nguni community, Zulu, where the tribes here, cattle becomes a very prominent way of holding your wealth. Therefore, someone came with an app which says you don't need to have 20,000 rand to own one full cow. You can, deposit even 300 rands or 500 rands and buy the percentage of a cow. So he went out to the farmers and talked to the farmers, and the farmers accepted. So he himself buys cows and then says, there are these cows, their worth is this. And then you can buy shares within that worth, as a percentage. So many things are coming up, and I think we are looking at a very exciting prospect going, especially now in post-COVID. I think we are going to look at a very exciting moment.
Yeah, I feel like I should hear a bit more about the cows. So the farmer keeps the cows in their farm, but then someone owns part of them. So I assume they help fund the farm, the ranch, by investing.
Well, to be honest, all I know is that the gentleman who owns the app, in a way, organizes land where he buys cows, and cows if they are heifer, a small calf, and of course a very good breed. Then it is assumed that at that point, the cow is worthy maybe 10,000. But when it goes to be slaughtered, it will be value maybe 30,000, right? Okay. So you buy into that, and then once you buy, the money which you put in is going to be used to feed that cow until it reaches maybe 1 year and a half, then it's sold to make that profit. In one or the other, I guess what you are talking about, Christine, is one of the offshoots of what can happen. Maybe, as we are saying, he convinces the farmer, and the farmer keeps the cows, and that sort of thing. It's maybe another way of doing it.
Okay. That's
any place you open, it gives you a lot of other windows which are there for you to pursue.
But that's very interesting, and I think as you are speaking, I was thinking that the situation of tech in African countries is so different, because I have a bit of understanding of South Africa, having lived there, but that was before the COVID situation, so I'm sure possibly things have really moved compared to like Kenya. Like what you're noting, like in the pharmaceuticals, in Kenya, there's no big one pharmaceutical company that you can say this is the one that this is where everyone goes to buy medicine. So there are very small pharmacies everywhere, owned by different people. So now what happens is that there's a lot of innovations, which I think the issue is that they could be similar, but because the entities are held by different people, every person is trying to come up with an innovation of their own. So because I've seen like on the pharmaceutical side, there's an app where different apps where you can get a diagnosis, where you can order medicine and it's delivered to you. So that sort of thing. But you'll find that it may be different pharmaceuticals that are doing it. But then also the Kenyan scenario, because of how almost everyone can owns a business. There's no huge monopolies that control any part of the economy other than maybe the telecoms. So that if it's like in the agricultural sector, it's not commercial farming, most of it is subsistence. So you could find maybe this group of farmers in the coffee industry are doing this sort of thing, and the tea industry, that sort of thing. So I think the scenario of Kenya is quite divided. And even on the transport, the example that you're giving of Uber. So actually, Uber operates differently. I've seen in the two cities in Kenya, Mombasa and Nairobi. You'll find that in Nairobi, the range of options for Uber are different like from Mombasa. So in Nairobi, there's the small Ubers that are called Chap Chap. It's the small ones, which are very tiny. I think the CC is quite a bit low, but then the cost is very low either. And then there's now like the average cars. And then in Mombasa, on the other hand, there's the tuk-tuk, like the ones you're speaking about in Tanzania, and also the boda. That's the motorbikes. And you see it's within the same country, but there's differentiation based on the market. It makes much more sense because of like the tourist sector in Mombasa. I find that people want to try out different transport, the tuk-tuks and all that. But then also there happen to be many more tuk-tuks in Mombasa than in Nairobi. So that sort of thing, it's quite interesting for different countries and the differentiation in how innovations are happening. But then also I think the people who are innovating, they think to see even like from the Uber example is how they are able to differentiate different customers to reach them the best way. And even things like e-commerce shopping. So I know there's some African countries like in Ghana, we had a talk the other day with someone from there who was saying that you can't get shipping delivered to you from Amazon. So if you ordered something from Amazon, it can be delivered to you in Ghana. But in Kenya, you can order from Amazon and it's delivered. Of course, it's not all things, but you can get them. But then there's also platforms like Jumia in Kenya, which is the same in Nigeria, which is quite different from Take a Lot in South Africa. So someone coming to Africa trying to understand, I think, the tech space, different African countries, you actually be quite shocked on how different they are. Or even something like mobile payment. So in Kenya, there's M-Pesa, which is like the main means of payment in Kenya. In fact, almost all government services are being paid through M-Pesa. You don't pay them through cash anymore. So even if I needed to renew my driving license, I can only use some form of virtual payment, whether it's mobile money or my card. But then mobile money is so convenient because the banks have integrated the system so that I can get money from my bank to my mobile phone, and the shopkeeper at the kiosk outside my house accepts M-Pesa payment. So you find that you literally can be without cash and transact like through your phone, and you don't even need internet, which is a bit different. Kobe, maybe you can tell me if in South Africa the mobile money payment has come up. But last I was there, it's unlike Kenya in terms of like the mobile money payments. So you can comment on that, especially on like the mobile money payment, and then also maybe share some thoughts on what you think the room that remains for innovation within African countries that you visited. Like what do you think? Like when you're in Tanzania and looked at Tanzania, some things you thought maybe there's room for improvement here, and especially also commenting on post-COVID, any things that you've seen that maybe have remained the same for some countries which you've been in, and you possibly think there's need to improve on this and this in some of these countries. So you could comment on that, and then we will wrap it up, the discussion for tonight.
Well, yeah. Just to comment on what you've said, and when you asked about the mobile money transfer in South Africa as compared to M-Pesa, one thing I noticed is that when I was in Tanzania, I attempted to pay for my, my accommodation using the mobile money transfer M-Pesa, and the hotel said, well, yes, they can receive the money. But then again, when I transferred the money into the number they gave me, I needed to add some more money because if they have to withdraw that money, they pay a fee. That does not happen with M-Pesa in Kenya, because M-Pesa in Kenya, once you go the till number, they say the amount is 100 shillings, you transfer 100 shillings, the person receives 100 shillings. And even if there's anything removed from there is insignificant, it should be 100, which means it's a free transfer, which is occurs up to a certain amount of money, I guess. But in Tanzania, I heard people complaining, saying that the new administration has not made it easier for them to transact using the mobile money transfer, which is a bottleneck because the government has put its fingers in there, making it very impossible, actually, or maybe hard, I should say, that if you transfer money, you are going the one. If you are the one who is initiating the process, you pay a fee, even if the other person says 100. By the time the transaction is complete, you have paid 110 from you, who is the source of the transfer, and the person who is receiving will have to pay another 10 on top of receiving the 100. So it's not a clear cut in such a way that, because the person you're paying will insist on wanting you to pay more, and it's not the convenience which was being sought by this innovation. It's a bottleneck which is not required at all. Now, when you look at mobile money in South Africa, it is not as much evolved as in M-Pesa in Kenya, which means that in South Africa, the mobile money transfer is an innovation arm of each specific bank. So if it's a mobile money transfer for FNB, they have their app, and now you can be able to transact, send the money or receive the money, that sort of thing. But doing it across, if you with FNB, for example, and you want to pay somebody who is with Capitec, which is another bank, it takes you need to maybe have an account or have an app of Capitec. There's a little bit of sluggishness. Let me put it that way. It slows down that economic activity, that transaction, right? So yes, it's not like M-Pesa, because M-Pesa in Kenya is so prevalent, is so everywhere that anything you can pay a border, you can buy anything with M-Pesa. That's actually, the most advanced mobile payment system which I can say I've come across. M-Pesa itself, M-Pesa. Yeah, it's not here in South Africa, because every telco, every bank wants to sit on its own. It does not want to do that, cross company trading. There is a little bit of bottlenecks here and there. So obviously, the payment platforms of mobile money transfer is not as advanced as in Kenya, and but the banks are advanced in their own way, in such a way that they are able to use mobile platforms for their clients, which in a way is, I would say, it's a little bit left behind by M-Pesa of Kenya. That's a fact, because M-Pesa is omnipresent everywhere, anywhere. Everybody will receive money with M-Pesa. If you say, can I M-Pesa? You'll say, oh yeah, sure, this is my number. So in that specific respect, it means that everyone can afford to have an account, and they can, put their money there. They can transact using their money there. To virtually everyone who is involved in trade, and anybody can have a bank account by having a PESA number. So that's different. That's a little bit. South Africa has advanced in its own right in like fintech and other things, but on the payment platform, which is friendly for everyone, still the banks are wanting. They're a little bit more corporate in their approach, being more collective. That I can say that much. Then you asked me to talk a little bit about uh, the rooms which is there for innovation, huge in Africa, huge. Because one of the things is that most of the countries in Africa, we're looking at the percentage of even smartphone penetration is still not there so much. I would suppose maybe it's sitting on the 20s in terms of percentage, and that is not does not augur well going forward. We need to increase the capacity of of people being able to use mobile phone or this technology, because those are the platforms and the gadgets which are required to do the transaction. Part of it is that Africa has got issues surrounding its corruption. It's rampant, which slows down in innovation. I would want to come in and say, I want to introduce this. It will help, revolutionize maybe the government services and so on. But then I have to grease the palms of a few people so that that does not really sit well, because Africa now will be lagging behind. And then there is also Africa's got a poor infrastructure, although in a way the coming of the mobile technology benefited Africa very much, but still is lagging. It's lagging back in terms of internet coverage. Issues about connectivity is there. You could look at a place like America, for example. Just a quick example. In United States, you find that if you are there and they're using a mobile phone, the SIM card you have, you pay every month. No matter if you're a visitor or not, you just go and say, sign on. You sign on. And then you say, okay, fine, I'm going to use, how long are you going to be on holiday? I'm going there for a month. They sign you on for 1 month and you pay for that 1 month, maybe $30. You can do Wi-Fi, you can do YouTube, you can call anybody across America and Bermuda and some other places around, you see. So that infrastructure is still being developed for Africa. So that's why one of the challenges. Also, the other thing is government operates on outdated government policies. For example, I don't want to go there, but just a quick, you can look at the debate surrounding marijuana. Maybe we'll have a debate on this platform. But you can see that medicinal marijuana and hemp is picking up in the world, but countries in Africa are very slow. So they don't, it's as if they have the land and they can plant this and they can be able to make a lot of, money out of it and do a lot of things for their people, but they are not willing to change the policies which have been sitting in their policy books for a long, long, long time. So these are some of the challenges, including actually the education gap and literacy levels of Africa. That, there's a lot of, urbanization which is happening in Africa now, but at the same time, the urbanization is not happening with commensurate education, for those people who are migrating to the cities. There's a huge amount of kids who are not going to school. So obviously it will make Africa lag behind in terms of the technology and innovation which is coming up. But one thing which is for sure is that there's a silver lining in terms of the, as you say, economy getting more digitalized in Africa after COVID. Yes, there is a silver lining. As I said in the beginning, the company Convergency has, revolutionized and is revolutionizing the way in which the innovation and the tech industries, being used to be transformed the e-commerce landscape of South Africa. The post-COVID has taught people that if you want to sell your things, you want a shop. For example, you have a shop where you're selling clothing. or you're selling food, you need to have a WhatsApp group, right? For customers who are coming in to sign on, and they can order food using that platform, right? You have a Facebook where you are advertising your clothing, which means you get customers on the digital platform. This is where most of the businesses are going to migrate, especially the spirit of entrepreneurship is coming, and most of the people, you are working in an office, fine, but at the same time, you would want to open. It becomes very easy for you to open a business. You could be selling perfumes, for example, maybe designer perfumes, and you advertise them. That's designer perfumes, and you go to your clientele, and you know where to advertise them. It becomes easy with Facebook. You pay that little amount of money. People call, they WhatsApp you. You know, they do what is the messenger you, and you are able to interact and sell a few products as your side income, and you can later on, you know, evolve that kind of business into a major income stream. So these are some of the things which are happening, and it's very exciting because Africa is really going to go digital in a big way. And everybody has predicted that Africa is going to go places, especially the IMF and the World Bank. They have looked at Africa's growth performance and outlook, and they have reimagined Africa in a way in which Africa's digital acceleration will continue creating jobs, and in a faster way post COVID. So it's a chance for us to say that all indicators is that digital technologies will be at the forefront of leapfrogging Africa's development in such a way that you know, the speed will be more faster than when before Corona. You know, before Corona, there was a speed there. They were saying Africa is the fastest growing economy, and the mere fact that we are viewed as one market, that's one of the things which we ourselves don't realize, that the rest of the world sees us as a single market. We ourselves are busy talking about units like Tanzania, units like Kenya, you know, but we should outlive those boundaries at this point and introduce a single market in Africa with one single currency. And that's the only way in which we can be able to increase the development of Africa in so many spheres of human interactions.
Okay. Very good comments there. And as you're speaking, I was thinking you cannot undervalue what having good infrastructure can do for a country to propel you forward. Literacy, levels of literacy are very, very important, and also purchasing power, like each individual person to have the ability to purchase. Like recently, I'm involved in a project app that's being built to link car owners in Kenya to reliable and verified mechanics across the country. So just in case you're stuck on the road and you are somewhere you don't know anyone or a way to get a mechanic, you just go to the app and it shows you all the mechanics who are near you and you can access them. It's called Mech Wangu, MECH Wangu, which is very brilliant, but the effort that has to be put in to even draw these mechanics onto the platform, because one of the levels of literacy of the people who are involved in that skill set, and then also to get people to use also smartphones. Having smartphones is not everyone who has them. You'll be surprised, yes, but there are people who still are not able to purchase smartphones. And also, like for people being able to get mobile data, it's also quite a challenge. So you cannot underestimate the value of having those things. And I think it's a reason why, like the UK, the US will get ahead and go further and further, because until almost the people are empowered, it becomes very hard and costly to have these tech innovations that are working in our country. And I think that's why I think South Africa has focused more on the corporate side, because corporates can pay, corporates can afford these things, while someone who's trying to pull in the consumers into their platforms takes quite a bit of cost and also effort to make it work. But I think we'll wind it up here. I hope anyone listening to this has learned something. And you can follow our discussions on YouTube and also on different podcast platforms, Spotify, Google Podcast, most podcast platforms. We are there. Kobe, it has been very great to have you today. We will definitely have another discussion and follow up on some of the things that you've touched on. But for tonight, it's goodbye from myself and from Kobe. We will have another discussion again in the future. Thank you very much.
Thank you.